Hey guys, Sean Hammond with Premier Guitar. We're at Winter NAMM 2020 in Anaheim, talking to Ilya from Gamechanger Audio out of Latvia. We've done a bunch of videos with these guys because they always make cool, weird shit. Ilya, you good?
How's the show for you? Are you hanging in there?
I still have my voice.
That's awesome.
And some of my hearing.
That's cool.
How about you?
I'm doing great. I mean, I've been listening to these wonderful reverb sounds for 4 days.
Yeah, you guys have the new light pedal, which is this actual spring reverb pedal, but of course, like everything you guys do, it's not what anyone else is doing. It's the, if I understand it correctly, the reverb from the springs is being sensed by optical sensors rather than just wires like normal.
Yeah, like a traditional spring tank. It has like a transducer. So like there's two transducers. One transducer like acts as an exciter for the springs, and then as they vibrate, there's another transducer that picks up the remaining vibration as like, you know, and then turns that into blends that into the audio. So what we
has four.
So that's a traditional tank, and there's nothing wrong with a traditional spring tank. It sounds great, but it's a little bit limited because it always ends up sounding like the spring's fundamental frequencies. So that's a traditional spring tank sound. So here we've added a variety, like we've added multiple sets of optical infrared light sensors along the length of the spring in order to get various readouts from the spring to capture the spring's movement at different points.
Because in the middle it's going to have a looser response, and toward the end it's going to be a little bit more firm, taut, right?
Yeah, so like depending on where you like read the spring along its length, you get a different signal basically. So
there are four optical sensors?
In this particular, like so far, yeah, we've ended up with 4 sets of sensors. So for example, one of them here is like in the middle position, in the middle of the spring where the amplitude of the movement is the highest. Yeah. And like every time the spring moves and interrupts the flow of light between the emitter and the receiver, like you get a little bit of signal induced. And then, so for example, so in the optical mode here, I can calibrate which set of sensors I want to use. So for example, I'm going to take the spring sound out of the equation, and we're listening only to the optical like sensors, right? So that's one sensor, different one, and something else here.
So you can mix traditional spring flavors with the optical sensors.
You always have the traditional spring tank on tap. Kind of, you can combine those two things. And the idea behind this whole project was that, like, we want to make an analog reverb that can compete with all the big like Strymon stuff and whatever, like the big laptop reverbs, you know, with the 100 presets and everything. Yeah. So when you're like, it's a spring-based analog reverb that also can do a ton of different sounds and flavors, but it does them in an analog way, which maybe I'm superstitious or something, but it definitely sounds like it adds magic and better stuff, better sound.
The reverb is always being created by the springs, but you can go from traditional transducers picking it up to just optical or mixing between them.
So yeah, ideally, like I think even in this version here, which is the pre-production model, I can dial in the sound that sounds like a plate reverb or like a hall reverb or like almost like
let's hear a few different
ones. For example, this one's going to sound almost like a shimmer thing. So I don't know if you can hear that, but it's definitely coming through the mic. So like. And if I change that filter, so that's actually, in this mode, like you kind of, by selecting, with the control knob, you can change the parameters for each one of these modes. So here we can target different harmonics. So now I'm going to target the lower harmonics.
So it's funny you mentioned that you've you seemed like you were a little embarrassed to say that, or that it sounds magical or whatever. But I mean, there's a reason people have loved spring reverb for so long, and that it's hard to get that magic from a digital pedal, even though there are a lot that do it really well.
Yeah,
there's just something about the actual mechanical things doing it, and it's really neat that you're able to do sort of those shimmery sounds, but it's coming from something mechanical.
Actually, yeah, like, so I don't know, so that Theodore right there, so he's one of our youngest engineers. So he started out with us as an intern, like as he was still finishing college.
Yeah.
And like we just told him, like, listen man, like come in and do whatever you want. And like a year later, he came up with this idea of like using these optical sensors to pick up the, like, he came up with this idea, and like we've been working together with him on this. Like the whole team has been developing this idea for 6 months now. That's Theodore.
Theodore,
Hey.
congrats, man! It's very cool.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite setting you want Ilya to play?
Yeah.
It's a sweep thing?
Yeah, sweep thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, yeah. So the sweep thing is like you set up. Woo! The sweep thing is like where you set up a rate, and like it sweeps through the pairs of sensors on its own.
And you don't have any of the other pedals on, right?
No.
You don't have.
So that way you can. So it's like basically like modulated spring reverb, and the modulation is kind of like. And the speed of it can be changed. So.
No, I should have asked this before, but can we hear the bypass sound so we hear how much of a change it's making?
That's it. Dry.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to demo?
Oh yeah. So we were talking about like this, like bringing the spring system like into the modern age. So here we have an envelope knob that lets you do like a gated reverb. So when the envelope knob is at 12 o'clock, then it's neutral. When it's to the left, then it's like it engages the reverb for when you're playing and cuts it out when you're not playing. And when it's to the right, then it acts as a pre-delay, so it gets out of the way of whatever you're doing on the frets, and then drop.
Sounds like sitar-like.
Oh yeah, that's like a kind of pre-delay thing that gets out of the way. That way I can dial in a super crazy setting, like the feedback mode here, right? And then I can use like the gated, for example, envelope, and in reality, this is a spring.
A sitar that needs a setup.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I need a setup like after 4 days of this. But like, yeah. So the assumption here is that you probably already have. Some people might already have an always-on reverb on their amps, and this way you can use a self-oscillating, like feeding back spring tank, right? But with the gate, you can use it as a almost like an overdrive or something, right? And then at the extreme setting, so yeah. So that's a cool little thing, and there's other modes. But the coolest thing about this, it's like, so we added a accelerometer chip that's typically found on smartphones. It's this chip that detects motion. We've added that chip onto the board, and that way, like, I can, when I hit a reverb tank, when you hit a reverb, like it goes. Okay, I got the gate on, so when you hit a reverb, it goes crazy. But like, on the back of this pedal, we have a switch that switches on that accelerometer sensor. So that way now I can hit the pedal as hard as I want, and the sensor will detect motion and it won't like explode in your amplifier. So that's just a silly little thing that I'm super proud of. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, because
so if you want to stomp on it and make weird noise, then you can.
Yeah, you can take your big shoes and like stomp on it, go crazy, and some people have done that, and nearly destroyed one of our prototypes, or you can play it safe and just keep it on the shock mode.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Do you guys know how much this is going to go for?
The pre-order in the pre-order campaign, this is going to be $299, and we're going to be announcing news on that soon. But yeah, after that, it's going to be above the 300 mark. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. You want to tell people where to go online to find out more?
More info at GameChangerAudio.com. Watch, watch the promo video we shot. So Theodore did a cover of Maggot Brain with this reverb, which is amazing. So yeah.
You guys are on social and all that?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for showing us this. It's really cool. I'm intrigued as always. Guys, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and you'll get all sorts of other cool NAMM goodness.
Thanks, Sean.
Later.